Part 34. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 332. The winter night came quickly, and it was already dark at 5 o'clock. Han Qian stood at the main entrance of the company and stared at Cai Qinghu. Han Qian stretched out his hand to sweep away the snow that fell on Cai Qinghu's shoulders. Cai Qinghu he raised his hands and took 2 steps back, saying seriously. Stop. Don't touch me yet. I'm talking to Mr. Han now as the leader of the inspection team. Our relationship is not that close. Han Qian sighed helplessly and explained again. I said, I'm going to have dinner with Lu Guangming and Luo Shanda tonight. There are some things they won't dare to say after you go there, which means the meal is in vain. Do you understand? Cai Qinghu seemed to have taken the wrong medicine today and was not obedient at all, so he retorted. As your secretary, I was also sent by the Yamanman to monitor you. I should appear wherever you go. Secretary Cai, can you stop being so angry? Didn't I just hang up on you? Not a few, but 11. When she was in the bathroom in the afternoon, Cai Qinghu called Han Qian to tell her about the report. She had already handed in the report and wanted to ask about the details. Han Qian had no time to talk to her in the bathroom at that time. As for the details, they were all lies. He knew all the details and hung up the phone after saying he had no time. Cai Qinghu reluctantly said they would meet in the evening, and Han Qian said he had an important dinner in the evening and hung up the phone. Then the eldest sister made 11 calls at once, but Han Qian didn't answer and hung up all of them. Then the current picture appeared. Cai Qinghu knew that there was something fishy about Han Qian's dinner, so she wanted to go. But Han Qian didn't take her with him. Han Qian glanced at the time and felt that it was still too late. He took a deep breath, raised his head and spoke with the gentlest smile and the gentlest voice. Qinghu, we have never had dinner alone. I know a restaurant is very suitable for 2 people to eat together. How about we go for dinner? After dinner, you go home and rest, and then I go to work, okay? Cai Qinghu looked at Han Qian with contempt and teased. You? Are you eating with me? What the hell are you talking about? Do you want to eat or not? Stop talking nonsense. Han Qian was a little annoyed, but Cai Qinghu was not angry at all about Han Qian's irritability, and curled his lips and said sarcastically. A straight man like you would think that I would eat alone? I'm afraid you would find a reason to go to the toilet while eating and perform a pee escape for me, right? I really want to blow you away with a spiral shuriken. Stop making trouble, be good. Mr. Han, please watch your words, otherwise I will arrest you for sexual harassment. Cai Qinghu, are you serious about playing with me? Han Qian tilted his head and asked Cai Qinghu, who nodded seriously. Seeing this, Han Qian took a deep breath, then turned around and ran away. Cai Qinghu never expected that Han Qian would really make such a move, so he turned around and got in the car to chase after him. When Han Qian ran to the side of the road, Cai Qinghu, the girl who didn't know where, put the entire police siren on the roof of the car, holding a vegetable speaker in her hand and shouting. Han Qian, please give up resistance. Han Qian, please give up resistance. Han Qian stopped running, walked to Maserati, knocked on the mirror, lowered the car window. Cai Qinghu squinted and smiled at Han Qian. You take me there, you are still my husband-in-law. Han Qian nodded, bent down and whispered. Okay, but I want to tell you something. Keep it in your heart. Well, come closer. It's a secret. Cai Qinghu unbuckled her seat belt and stuck her head out of the car. The next second, Han Qian stretched out his hand to hold Cai Qinghu's chin and kissed her directly on the lips. Cai Qinghu stared at Han Qian with his eyes wide open, and beat Han Qian's cheek with his fists. Shoulder, A few seconds later, Han Qian let go of Cai King Hu, wiped his lips and said angrily. You dare to follow me, and I still kiss you. My business tonight is very important. If you dare to come over and cause trouble, I will execute you right here. Cai King Hu glared at Han Qian and said angrily. You dare. You will know if you try it or not. Bye. Han Qian turned around and ran away, stopped a taxi and got into the car with an extra car key in his hand. So cool. See how you chase me? Along the way, Han Qian changed into 3 taxis and visited shopping malls and parks. After making all preparations for being followed and investigated, he got in the car and headed to the place Lu Guangming had booked. Metropark Hotel. When Han Qian got out of the car, he received a text message from Cai King Hu. Han Qian, you have the guts, my sister will bring sexy underwear to your house tonight. Han Qian smiled at the phone and ignored it decisively. He knew that Cai King Hu must have found a taxi and would pick you up after his work was done. Han Qian went upstairs and entered the box. He found that no one had come yet and found a seat casually. After sitting down, Lu Guangming came only 10 minutes later. Han Qian and Lu Guangming. Neither of them were good people. The two looked at each other and smiled, and Lu Guangming said with a smile. How many distinguished guests are there tonight? As he spoke, he threw a cigarette to Han Qian. Han Qian took it and nodded with a smile. You almost all know Luo Shanda, Gao Jixian, Tu Xiao, and a more important little girl. This is the network I cultivated alone after my divorce. How much does this cigarette cost? Mr. Yan bought it for me once. Lu Guangming stretched out a finger and said softly. 5 yuan a piece, 100 a box. Mr. Yan is so kind to you, I envy you. Brother Han, don't blame me for talking too much. Are you sure this is a network of connections and not a spider web? We are not prey. Lu Guangming was really afraid of Han Qian. He knew that Han Qian and Lu Shengge had met, but Han Qian didn't seem to be affected at all. This made him confused. Did Lu Shengge suffer? In fact, Lu Guangming told Han Qian that he also had selfish motives when it came to Lu Shengge. Why his business assets have always been ranked 4th in the city. That was because he thought Lu Shengge was a cross-river dragon and wanted to suppress him, but unfortunately he lost. Sadly, many opportunities were lost. Han Qian was slightly dissatisfied as he smoked a cigarette and looked at Lu Guangming. Am I still a spider to you? You don't know how much money you can make from that land in Dongchang. The second phase of land has been promised to you. Brother Lu, are you treating me as a young man like an old man? Lu Guangming laughed and cursed after hearing this. A little cultured. After saying that, Luo Shanda pushed open the door and walked in. Behind him was Tu Xiao, who was wearing a tang suit. Guan Yunbiao was guarding the back. Luo Shanda sat opposite Han Qian. Tu Xiao sat next to Han Qian. Guan Degu was very discerning. I saw him sitting at the door. Luo Shanda looked at Tu Xiao and Lu Guangming, frowning and looking unhappy, but Tu Xiao pointed at Lu Guangming and laughed and cursed. You old man's mouth is no different from that prostitute's waistband. You told my daughter about her mother. The child went home and cried all night. I want to buy a car recently. You can make up the difference of 100,000 yuan for me, which is considered spiritual compensation. Lu Guangming laughed. Let's go back and choose a car. For the sake of my brother Han, I'll just buy a car for you, an old beggar. The two of them were joking, but no one could take it seriously. Just as Han Qian was putting out his cigarette butts, Gao Fulai and Wu Siquan arrived. Gao Fuling already knew who was at the dinner party that night, so he was not surprised at all. The emergence of high fulfillment is somewhat unexpected. Gao Xingchen nodded to Han Qian, and then introduced to Wu Siquan some of the big guys working on it. Chairman of Shuncheng Group, Lu Guangming, and Director Lu Kun, the boss of Baokeng Construction Company, Mr. Tu Xiao. This name, everyone's expressions looked unnatural. Is Tu Xiao pampering his child too much? Director Rajendra of the Finance Bureau. This one's called Brother Dog. You know Han Qian. Wu Sijuan greeted politely. She sat on the other side of Han Qian. Gao Xing sat next to me, Guan Yun Biao. When everyone took their seats, Han Qian smiled lightly. I have something to meet with you tonight, and I won't talk nonsense. I want to get the 20% shares of Honor Group Li Dahai, and I need your help. I will try my best to meet your requirements, and of course I hope you will too. Do not let me down. Everyone's eyes widened except for Gao Zixi. Han Qian wants to play a big game. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 333. The waiter was about to serve the food. 2 bottles of Maotai were served. The beer and red wine were all imported. Many of the delicacies on the table were things Han Qian had never seen before. Han Qian tugged Tu Xiao under the table. Opening the wallet, Tu Xiao took a look, smiled, reached out and patted Han Qian's leg, and whispered. Eat with confidence, Bio Z will pay the bill later. There were only 2 slightly reserved people at the dinner table, Luo Shanda and Wu Siguan. They should have met each other before, but they probably didn't expect that Han Qian would bring these people in. Han Qian didn't touch the liquor. He and Gao Zixi just drinking beer. The only bottle of red wine was prepared for Wu Siguan. Lu Guangming is very interested in Wu Siguan, but now he doesn't know the relationship between Wu Siguan and Han Qian, so he can only talk and joke around. After drinking some wine to warm up, Han Qian looked at the golden beer in the glass and smiled. What I can give you now, and you can probably guess in your mind, is that I want to snatch and rob the shares in Li Dahai's hands. I have no intention of doing normal business with him. I will use my money, land, shares, friendship, guarantee, given to everyone sitting here. I don't want to wait too long, because after taking the shares, I still have other things to do. Now I want to ask those who are doing it, what you are good at is conspiracy, or a commercial blow. The first one to speak was Gao Xing. He chuckled. Master Han, I think my method is good, it just requires a little effort from Miss Wu, but I believe Master Han will not let Miss Wu lose too much, right? Han Qian shrugged and said calmly. If everyone agrees with your proposal and Si Guan can accept it, you can take 12% of the shares and transfer it to Si Guan as compensation of 10 million. I don't know since when, millions and millions are no longer out of reach in Han Qiandu's heart. Moreover, Gao fulfilled 20 million and took 12% of the shares. He made too much. Wu Siguan sipped the red wine and said softly. Vice President Gao, tell me about your proposal. See what I can't accept. Gao Yuchen smiled, looked at Wu Siguan with his signature smile, and said with a smile. I just imagined it first. Now I want to prove one thing. Whether Li Dongsheng got Miss Wu's body. Wu Siguan nodded generously and spoke without any hesitation about this kind of thing. I got it, and it's been a long time. I feel that he has lost interest in me. If he wants me to stimulate him, he probably is following his wishes and letting me be with other men. He needs it. I'm always on call. If Vice President Gao wants to use my body, I don't mind, provided that I don't want to be sent to someone else's bed in vain. These words made everyone present have a different impression of Wu Sijuan. They dare not look down on this young girl. She is different from other women who are willing to sacrifice their bodies. Her ambition is never to please a man. A little charity is so simple. Wu Siguan's words also broke Gao Shanda's original plan. He guessed that Li Dongsheng had obtained Wu Siguan, but he didn't expect that he lost interest so quickly. When everyone was silent, Luo Shanda whispered. For a rich second generation like Li Dongsheng who has good looks and lots of money, there will be no shortage of women by his side. And I heard Si Guan say that she is Li Dongshen's first woman. After a man tastes the sweetness, he may think trying more flavors. If you want to use jealousy as an excuse, it may not have much effect, and even if things get serious, the victim will become Li Dongshen, and the gain outweighs the loss. I think it is better to take action on Li Dahai. After finishing his words, Gao Xing raised his hands in a gesture of surrender. I'm responsible for the infusion of money, and I won't get involved in other things. Is that okay? Luo Shanda glanced sideways at Gao Xingxin and snorted coldly. Everyone could hear the dissatisfaction in Gao Xingxin's tone. Tu Xiao frowned and looked at Gao Xingxi and said coldly. Everyone is discussing this, what do you mean? You take 12% of the 20 shares, and now you say you won't get involved. Otherwise, you don't take the 12%. Facing Tu Xiao, Gao Jingcheng still felt a little guilty. He frowned and drank the wine in his glass. Lu Guangming looked at the people on the table, smiled and said nothing. Han Qian didn't know what to do for a while. The atmosphere at the table gradually became quiet. After a while, Wu Siquan gently tugged on Han Qian's sleeve and whispered. I have a way, but I can only tell you that it is very risky and requires the cooperation of Vice President Gao, but I don't want others to know. Han Qian hummed quietly, then smiled at everyone. Today we all got together to get acquainted. It doesn't mean that we have to come up with a solution today. There is still time. Let's drink first. Come on, come on. Vice President Gao, let's drink beer first. Han Qian took the initiative to liven up the atmosphere, but Gao Jingcheng frowned slightly, picked up the wine glass and tapped it on the table, raised his head and drank it all. Tu Xiao then picked up the wine glass and smiled at Luo Shanda. Things are not absolute. 3 cobblers can still stand up to Zhuge Yang, right? You, me, and Lao Lu are all well-known figures in the city. Take your time, drink, and drink. The atmosphere was relieved. After a few glasses of wine, Lu Guangming knocked on the table and spoke. This old guy Linmend is going to celebrate his 60th birthday. What do you guys mean, go? Or not? Tu Xiao poured the wine and pouted. Chang Xiang and I also have to cooperate. There is no reason not to go and give him face. In addition, my 2 younger siblings will go. I have to be responsible for the safety of my younger siblings. You won't go. Lu Guangming shrugged and curled his lips. We have to go. This old guy has everything in the city and is notoriously petty. How can he not go? I want Brother Han to go too. Let's go together. When the time comes, we can also shock the scene for Brother Han, so that Lin Zongheng doesn't have to do this. The kid doesn't know how high the sky is and how high it is. Luo Shanda shrugged and said calmly. I don't have any objections, and I agree with them. Whether it's Lin Mend or Lin Zongheng, I'm not afraid of them. Gao Fulai pouted. I don't have any opinion. At this moment, no matter what mentality they had, Han Qian really thanked them, picked up the wine glass and smiled. Win-win with you. The dinner gradually became more relaxed and lasted for 2 hours before it ended. Han Qian was a little drunk. When going out, Wu Siquan told others that she had opened a room for Han Qian and that young Master Han would not go back tonight. Qian vaguely pointed at Gao Xing and muttered. You go and get a room, you have money. Gao Qian smiled and nodded. Gao Qian opened a room. The moment Han Qian was helped into the room by Wu Sijuan, Han Qian let go of Wu Sijuan, opened his eyes and said indifferently. I'm going to take a shower, and then I'll go downstairs to drink tea. You talk to Gao Xing, I'll listen. 10 million is enough for you to live a carefree life for a lifetime. What's your general plan? Wu Siquan gritted his teeth and whispered. I will attack Li Dahai. Han Qian trembled when he walked into the bathroom. He turned his head and looked at Wu Siquan in shock, his face full of disbelief. Are you serious? Under a heavy reward, there must be a brave man, and I am this brave man. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 334. At 12:30 in the middle of the night, it is time for normal people to rest. 3 abnormal guys are drinking tea in the hotel lobby. Wu Sijuan has lost the temperament that he used to work as a nanny in the general department. From his dress and gestures, he has it looks a bit like upper-class society. Young and beautiful girls always have a few more natural advantages than ordinary people. A white vest, brown high-waisted wide-leg trousers, and a touch of pink and white, giving her a good temperament. Gao Sijing played with his tea art, picked up the teapot and gave Han Qian a cup of tea. Han Qian didn't understand the rules on the tea tray. Just when he was about to drink, Wu Siquan stretched out his white hand to hold the teacup, and poured the tea under Han Qian's surprised eyes. Drop the tea in the cup. Gao Xingyi curled his lips and smiled when he saw this. Miss Wu, it's me who gave you the money. Why are you so biased towards Mr. Han? Wu Siquan narrowed his eyes and smiled without explaining. Han Qian asked in a low voice what was the significance of the first cup of tea. Gao Xingyi smiled. Too bitter. I believed your lies. Si Guan said she had her own plan and asked us to cooperate. She set the time on Linmen's birthday. Do you have any money? Transfer some to Si Guan first. After all, Si Guan he is the most important role in the plan and the weakest one, so we have to show some sincerity first. Gao Xingcheng put down the teapot, took out his mobile phone and made a call. Not long after, Sun Ya walked into the main entrance of the hotel and trotted over. When she saw Wu Sijuan, she was slightly surprised and sat opposite Wu Sijuan. A tea table for 4 is perfectly positioned. Sun Ya took out a card from her bag and handed it to Gao Jishi. Gao Jishi casually handed the card to Wu Siquan and chuckled. There are 500,000 in this card, and the password is written on the back. Miss Wu, please keep it. Wu Siquan did not pick up the card. Han Qian on the side pointed at Gao Xingzi and laughed and cursed. Quanquasusu, are you teasing the children with candy? You are trying to make up a round number with some. Anyway, you have no place to spend the money you have now. Why don't you give away 500,000 to beggars? Just for tonight's dinner. The number of relationships is more than this, right? Gao Xingcheng looked at Han Qian and scolded with a frown. You really can't stand and talk without hurting your back. Why can't I save some savings without spending money? I'm even afraid that your grandson will trick me. I gave Miss Wu protection, so do you have to give me some protection too? Han Qian curled his lips and Wu Siquan chuckled softly. Forget it, let's talk about it after the matter is completed. Vice President Gao doesn't have to embarrass Mr. Han. Vice President Gao will not suffer any loss whether he succeeds or not, and the biggest beneficiary of this matter is you, Han. There's no need to say I'll give you any guarantee, there are some things I don't want to say too directly. Gao Jishi laughed loudly and hooked his fingers at Sun Ya. Sun Ya took out another purple card from her bag. Gao Jishi put both cards in front of Wu Siquan and said with a smile. Xiaoa, Xiaoa, it's a big loss for you that Miss Wu didn't go to the public relations department. After saying that, he looked at Han Qian and smiled. 1.5 million, is Mr. Han still satisfied? Finally looking at Wu Siquan, Gao Xingyi narrowed his eyes. Just think of this money as buying me a little face for Gao Jixi. I don't want to hear those direct words from Miss Wu's mouth, okay? Wu Sijuan nodded and put away the cards on the table. From the moment she sat down until now, Sun Ya was confused. She didn't know when Wu Sijuan got together with Han Qian and Gao Xing, and she could feel from the conversation that Wu Sijuan was no longer the little maid who used to be obedient to her. In just a few months, has vaguely surpassed Sun Ya's status, which she cannot accept. I also have to admire Han Qian. His appearance was too sudden. A person who had never heard of him suddenly appeared in the public eye, and then he became what he is now. He is more of a blessing than a scourge. It seems that those who are close to him have benefited more or less. Money-spreading boy. Sun Ya was no stranger to this word. Someone seemed to have called Han Qian this before. Gao Xingchen whispered while holding tea. Lin Zongheng doesn't like you at all. Are you sure you want to go to Lin Men's birthday party? Han Qian sighed softly. If Si Guan is going to find an opportunity to take action that day, I can show my face and protect Si Guan from leaving safely if something happens. Your purpose is also very simple. To make Li Dahai drink and warm up, just praise Si Guan. By the way, Si Guan entered the venue with Sister Ya that day. Sun Ya looked at Wu Siguan in confusion, who smiled and nodded at Sun Ya. Gao Jishi was addicted to smoking. Sun Ya reminded him in a low voice that smoking was not allowed here, but Gao Jishi went his own way, smoking a cigarette and crossing his legs, and said calmly, I don't know what Lin Mend is thinking. Something happened at the party not long ago. Is he worried that he will live too long? Han Qian resisted smoking, looked down at the tea in the cup and sneered. It was too difficult for people in ancient times to live 60 years old, so I celebrated. Last time I met this old guy Lin Mend, and took some of Chang Xiang's elders and his shelled son to Lu Guangming's resort, and brought them wherever he went. No, now that Lin Zongheng has only been back for a short time, I am afraid many people still think that Chang Xiang is the one who makes the decision. This birthday party is probably to publicize that his precious son is back, and Chang Xiang is still the Lin family's final decision. And now the word dinner is the topic. The government office will pay attention to it, and the people will also pay attention. When the time comes, when the party is mentioned, Lin Zongheng will naturally be thought of, and the meaning of pondering over it is just that. Gao Xingchen clapped his hands and praised. Master Han, I'm so glad that I have become your ally instead of your enemy. Are you going to let Lin Men's party go to waste? I'm not in that mood. Now I just want to move Li Dahai first. Only by moving him can I move on to the next step. Let's rest early. Gao Yuxing stood up and hugged Sun Ya, holding a cigarette in his mouth and wandering away. Wu Saiquan looked at Gao Yuxing's back and lowered his voice and whispered. What he says always looks better than what he does. While talking, Wu Sijuan took out 2 cards from his bag, put them on the table and pushed them towards Han Qian. Han Qian lowered his head and looked at the 2 cards on the table, smiled softly, and then looked out the window. The 2 people in the car said softly. What do you want to do after you succeed? Leave this city and start your life again somewhere no one knows you. Wu Sijuan took out the card to show her loyalty. This girl looked far ahead and would not get carried away by the mere $1 million in front of her. From this point of view alone, the little girl Wu Sijuan had a better temperament than a woman of the same age. He was much more mature, and when he thought about the plan she mentioned, Han Qian was also a little afraid of Wu Siquan. However, this smart girl chose to surrender. Wu Siquan followed Han Qian's gaze and laughed softly. If I don't leave, I have finally laid down a foundation. I have blended into a circle that I have never dared to think about in my life. I am reluctant to leave. As for things like reputation, I don't care. I may become a useful tool for Mr. Han. In the end, at least the skin can still be sold. Han Qian turned his head, stretched out his hand and tapped Wu Sijuan's forehead, and cursed with a smile. Sell your ass. I don't want to do the kind of thing that capitalists do. You can also think about it. If you feel uncomfortable, you can find another way. Wu Si-Quan covered his forehead and smiled coquettishly. If I don't change, it's too late. Li Dongshen will lose interest in me soon. After I leave, Li Dongshen may not be so useful in doing this. Mr. Han, I may not go with Sun Ya that day. Women are so stupid and I'm worried something will go wrong. Sun Ya is stupid. What he said seemed to make sense. Wan Fang's incident made Han Qian know that this woman was big-breasted and brainless. He clearly knew that he and Wan Fang were friends, but he didn't know how to persuade Gao Jingcheng. Han Qian stood up, stretched, yawned and said, "You decide for yourself. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you want to gain a foothold in our circle, you must not easily climb into a man's bed." "I don't mind Mr. Han's bed." Han Qian raised his hands and smiled bitterly. "Just let me go. It's not like you don't know how many women are around me now. If you knew how I escaped today, you wouldn't say this. Let me first." As he spoke, Han Qian turned to leave. The moment he turned around, Han Qian closed his mouth and Cai Qinghu, the eldest sister, staggered in from the front door. "She still lives here? How much money does she have?" Han Qian turned around and hid behind Wu Si-Quan, squatting under the table and whispered, "Don't move, don't let that woman see me." Wu Si-Quan looked down at Han Qian, then raised his head to look at the woman standing in the hall with her eyes closed and her nose wrinkled, and asked in a low voice, "Cai Qinghu? The leader of the inspection team sent down from above? Mr. Han, don't tell me that you two are having an affair. She's here." Cai Qinghu walked towards Wu Sijuan in a daze. "To be precise, she came here to drink water. Her head hurt. Seeing the tea on the table, she wanted to come over for a break and ask for a pot of tea to sober up." Cai Qinghu, who was getting closer and closer, pulled her over. The chair that Sun Ya had been sitting on sat down. Looking at Wu Sigwan in front of her with a frown, Cai Qinghu wrinkled her nose. The next second she saw a box of cigarettes without any words on the table and an antique mobile phone. Cai Qinghu's face turned dark instantly. He bent down and took off his high heels, took them in his hand, pointed at Wu Si-Quan and said coldly, "Is Han Qian here today to see you, a little vixen?" Wu Si-Quan was not angry at all and smiled at Cai Qinghu. "Captain Cai, please continue. I'm going to rest upstairs first." Wu Si-Quan left, and Han Qian grabbed the chair and grinned at Cai Qinghu. "Xiao Hu, listen to my explanation." The shoes flew past his scalp. Cai Qinghu got up and left. "I will go back to the province tomorrow, and I will never come back." "Jealous? So jealous? Are you avoiding me just to see this woman? And it's still in a hotel? And even opened a room." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 335. It was snowing outside. Cai Qinghu stood barefoot in the middle of the hall. She closed her eyes and felt the coldness coming from the soles of her feet. The next second, she felt light. When she opened her eyes, she had been picked up by Han Qian like a princess. Cai Qinghu picked up the bag and threw it on Han Qian's face, struggling. "I don't need you to hold me. Go find your vixen." Han Qian held Cai Qinghu towards the elevator and asked with a smile, "Do you know it's 2 o'clock now and who you drank with?" "Men. There are many men. I hug, kiss, and even have sex with them and it has nothing to do with you." Cai Qinghu was still struggling. Han Qian's eyes gradually turned cold. He slowly put Cai Qinghu down, squatted down, and put her shoes on her feet. Then he exited the elevator, took out a cigarette and lit it in his mouth. When he raised his head again, he looked at Cai Qinghu. Smiled slightly. "Yeah. I'm not qualified to ask about your affairs." Cai Qinghu pressed the number 8 button with anger in his eyes. The elevator door closed slowly. Looking at the man's leaving figure, Cai Kinghu's heart felt empty. Then he was filled with anger and humiliation. When the elevator reached the 8th floor, when Cai Kinghu was about to walk out when she was in the elevator, she stopped. She was drinking tea with Han Qian downstairs just now. The girl she called the little vixen was standing outside the elevator. With his hands behind his back, he had a smile on his face. Wu Siquan looked at Cai Kinghu, whose eyes were reddish, and laughed softly. Young Master Han's dinner tonight is very important, and your identity is indeed inappropriate to show up. Young Master Han is doing it for your own good. Lu Guangming from Shuncheng Group, Tu Xiao, the gangster in the 8th District, Luo Shanda, Director of the Finance Bureau, and Gao Xiaoxiang, Vice President of Glory, and I, Li Dongshen's girlfriend, both you and young Master Han are proud people. Han Qian will not deceive you with sweet words. He is reluctant to lie to you. I hope you also understand young Master Han. Young Master Han is the most powerful person I have ever seen. But I have never seen him hide behind a chair in fear of a girl. Cai Kinghu looked at Wu Siguan and said coldly. What do you want to express by saying this? Wu Siguan smiled lightly. I just want to say that young Master Han is very tired, really very tired. There are many people who want to do something to him. When young Master Han is tired of dealing with it, he still has to think about how to become stronger. Whether it is Luo Shanda or Lu Guangming, in addition Mr. Han has to deal with Lin Mend and his son who were brought up by Gao Jingcheng at the dinner party in the evening. They have to be cowardly and submissive, team leader Cai. Think about Han Qian's strength in facing outsiders, and think about his cowardice in facing you. What do you think? Will he be afraid of you? How can a man who is not even afraid of Feng Lun be afraid of you? The fear of you is because Mr. Han likes you. Only when you like someone will you be afraid of someone. Worry about her misunderstanding and worry about her being too preoccupied. As an outsider, I have such 100% trust in young Master Han. Why can't team leader Cai, who is the woman that young Master Han likes, give him some trust? Cai Kinghu was stunned, and Wu Siguan took a deep breath and spoke softly. Love is mutual. Mr. Yan and Miss Wen both know that young Master Han will not go home tonight, but they have never had a phone call or text message. Team leader Cai, don't lose on the so-called face. If young Master Han wants to, Mr. Yan, Miss Wen, and Minister Ji can give her anything. There is no need for her to come here to find me. Cai Kinghu didn't hear what Wu Siquan said later. She only remembered 3 sentences. Why can't team leader Cai, whom young Master Han likes, give young Master Han a trust? Mr. Yan and Vice President Wen haven't even received a phone call or text message. Why are you afraid of team leader Cai? These words kept popping up in his mind. Cai Kinghu regretted what he said to Han Qian downstairs. He was a man, and everyone in the city wanted to give a man some face, but in the face of her arrogance, he was laughing while throwing shoes and hitting him in the face with a purse. Cai Kinghu rushed out of the elevator and ran out of the hotel's main entrance, looking for Han Qian while shedding tears, but the tears kept blurring his vision. There was no one on the road. Cai Kinghu slowly squatted down and couldn't stop choking. A coat was draped around her body, and a soft voice appeared in her ears. It's cold, don't catch a cold. This sentence was like a fire burning in his heart. Cai Kinghu slowly turned his head and looked at the man in a white shirt standing behind him, choking. Why didn't you leave? Han Qian threw away the cigarette butt in his mouth and looked at the road seriously. If you count, there will be a girl rushing out of the hotel to find a man who secretly kissed him in the afternoon. She wants to watch the excitement here and see how this man is beaten. Cai Kinghu smiled, stood up slowly, turned around and stretched out his arms around Han Qian's neck with 2 flaming red lips. Hugs, kisses. Han Qian responded enthusiastically, but the two people who were numbed by alcohol were extremely sober. They knew what they were doing, but they did not stop or resist the body's reaction. Han Qian once again picked up Cai Qinghu and walked into the hotel. Cai Qinghu hid in Han Qian's arms with a shy expression. This was the first time the two of them had prepared for a kiss. At the same time, Han Qianzai couldn't control his inner desires. He didn't want to be a virgin anymore. Walking into the familiar suite, he closed the door with his foot. The two kissed and fell on the sofa from the living room. Han Qian roughly tore Cai Qinghu's clothes. Just when the two were about to meet frankly, Cai Qinghu blushed. Holding the last piece of fabric left on her chest, she whispered shyly, "I'm visiting relatives." Just now, Han Qian's words were like fire, igniting Cai Qinghu's heart. Now, Cai Qinghu's words were like a stream of ice water, pouring on Han Qian's body. His desire disappeared instantly. Han Qian was unable to lie on the bed, and finally mustered up the courage. Knowing the consequences of mustering up courage this time, Han Qian knew how difficult it would be for him to muster up courage next time after this time. Cai Qinghu got into the quilt and touched Han Qian's waist with his slender legs. To take a bath. Han Qian grabbed the pillow and covered his face, and replied angrily, "Don't wash, don't wash, don't wash. Be good, go take a shower and clean yourself. Be good, my husband. My husband likes to be clean the most." Han Qian knew that he would not leave tonight, and knew that there was nothing he could do. He stood up and dragged his tired body into the bathroom. When he returned to the room, he saw Cai Qinghu sitting on the bed with a quilt on his back. Han Qian tightened his grip. "Bath towel," whispered. "I'll get my clothes and sleep in another room." Cai Qinghu extended his finger to Han Qian and hooked it. "Ms. Sir, please stay close to me. I'll tell you who I went drinking with today. Come over here." Han Qian knelt on the bed with one knee and leaned forward. The next second, Cai Qinghu suddenly opened the quilt, revealing his bare skin. Then Han Qian's whole body was wrapped in the quilt, and Cai Qinghu forcibly pressed him down on the bed. Han Qian was confused. At that moment, the clone was held tightly, and then the familiar feeling made him close his eyes and let out a groan. Secretary Xiao Cai did something that Han Qian had experienced at the resort. "Mr. Sir, I seem to have some jelly in my pocket that I brought from your house 2 nights ago. Do you want? Want? I'll get it." The wine Cai Qinghu and Wen Nuan drank together. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 336. Han Qian opened his eyes in a daze early in the morning, stood up and shook his slightly aching head. Cai Qinghu didn't stay in this room last night. He went to the bathroom and never came back. He got out of bed and looked at the messy clothes on the floor. Han Qian closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened the door and walked out of the room, Cai Qinghu happened to come out of the bathroom wrapped in a bath towel. Just when Han Qian was about to speak, Cai Qinghu had already raised his hand and made a gesture of rejection. "Don't, sir, don't come over. You drank too much last night? Don't say anything. Just pretend nothing happened. Don't talk. I have to go back to the province today and won't be back until the day after tomorrow. Linmen's birthday is next week. I'll try to get back, don't talk. Don't send me away. I'll go change clothes." Cai Qinghu ran away. She was also a girl in boldness. Unlike Yushasai, who had experienced the open atmosphere abroad, Han Qian tilted his head and looked at Cai Qinghu's door, his head filled with confusion. When he was standing under the shower to take a bath, he heard Cai Qinghu's voice. "Mister, you have the keys to Martha's car, right? I'm driving the other car back. You'll drive away in a moment. I don't feel at ease here in the hotel." Han Qian opened the bathroom door. Cai Qinghu screamed and turned around, covering his eyes. Han Qian squinted and said helplessly, "I didn't come out naked. You drank so much last night, can you drive? Just wait, I'll ask Guan Yunbiao to take you back to the province." "No, no, 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 I, 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 I will drive by myself, bye. I will send you a message when I get back to the province." After saying that, he turned and ran towards the door. Han Qian only heard a muffled bang as the eldest sister hit the door. Han Qian closed his eyes and sighed. Things seemed to be getting troublesome. When I walked out of the bathroom after taking a shower, I found a new suit neatly placed on the sofa. Next to it were new underwear and a set of thermal underwear. There was a watch on the coffee table. Han Qian made it. Sitting on the sofa and lighting up a cigarette, my head was still a mess. You poetry. Cai Qinghu. Headache, headache. While smoking, he picked up the mobile phone that was thrown on the coffee table last night. There were no missed calls or text messages. Han Qian felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. Why didn't you ask me about it after I went out all night? It's already past 10 o'clock. While dialing Nuan, Han Qian slapped himself hard enough that he could feel some swelling on the side of his face. Hello you hello. Nuan answered the call with a long tone. Han Qian's face instantly turned black, he frowned and said softly, "How much did you drink last night?" Hearing Han Qian's voice, Wen Nuan opened his eyes, sat up and groaned, covering his head. "I don't know how much I drank. Last night your secretary came over to complain, saying that with a boss like you I always get fooled, and then somehow it got into trouble with poetry. You had 1 cup and I had 1 cup. Later I thought that I couldn't let them quarrel, let them come at me." Han Qian didn't even know what to say. Yu Shisai and Cai Qinghu were both the leaders at the wine table. Although they were not as good as Yang Lan, they also heard that Yu Shisai competed with Yang Lan at the izakaya. After a while, Yu, an idiot who doesn't know the north, south, east, west, or 2 bottles of wine, still want to provoke Cai Qinghu and Yu Shisai. Cai Qinghu and Guan Dagu also drink from the box. Han Qian leaned on the sofa and whispered, "My mother brought some honey when she came last time. You will prepare some honey water to drink later. Don't go to work today. I will go home and make you something light in the evening. I want to eat meat. Eat some green vegetables. I want to eat meat." "No. Han Qian. I want eat meat. Did you eat me alive?" Wen Nuan's voice gradually became louder, but Han Qian's was still calm. Then Yu Shisai's humming voice came over the phone, telling Wen Nuan to stop making noise. After only sleeping for a few hours, Wen Nuan took a deep breath and whispered softly, "Seriously? Han Qian. As my ex-husband, and now that we are divorced and have not left home, my friends are at home. As my ex-husband, you should entertain them well. In fact, you don't have to cook too many dishes, such as 6 meatballs and cherry meat. Meat, fish-flavored shredded pork, buy some crabs, conchas, and prepare some shrimps." Han Qian hung up the phone. Did he just say that he didn't need to cook too much? Putting on a blue suit and tie, Han Qian did not rush downstairs. Instead, he called the front desk and asked Cai Qinghu how many days he had reserved the room. The answer was 2 months. Han Qian covered. He put down the phone with his head down. How much money does this eldest sister have? For her to squander it like this, it seems that she hasn't damaged her foundation at all. Since he stayed here for a long time, his clothes were left here. Han Qian went downstairs and told the waiter to clean up. Then he left the hotel, started the Maserati and headed to the company. Now Han Qian wanted to keep a low profile, but the situation did not allow it. luxury watches, luxury cars, handmade suits. I don't know where Cai King Hu got it early in the morning, but it's not difficult, and you can do it if you have money. After driving to the company, Han Qian got out of the car and walked into the main entrance. When the security captain came over, he looked at Han Qian from top to bottom, pinched his chin and said suspiciously, "No more pretending? Are you showing off your cards?" Han Qian chuckled, hugged the security captain and smiled. "You don't understand this, do you? You don't know how hard and tired I was last night. The car belongs to others, the clothes are given by others, and we can't afford these things." The security captain looked at Han Qian like a fool, as if you were treating me like a fool. Han Qian didn't tangle too much with him. He went upstairs to the public relations department to find Sun Ya and told her that Wu Siquan might go to the party by himself. After resting for a while in the public relations department and chatting with Wan Fang, Han Qian suddenly wanted to introduce Wan Fang and Wu Siquan. "I knew it, but then I thought about it and let it go. People like Wu Siquan don't need friends. That kind of thing is a burden to her." When she left the public relations department, she took Wan Fang's yogurt and smiled as she went out. "Sister Fang Fang, your milk tastes pretty good." "He does not mean that." The handsome men and beauties in the big public relations department burst into laughter. Wan Fang chased out of the public relations department with a stapler and a red face. As soon as she walked out, she saw Han Qian and Vice President Gao standing together chatting. Wan Fang returned dejectedly. Public Relations Department. In the corridor, Han Qian followed Gao Xing to show off his stink. "How's it going? Isn't this dress good for a party?" Gao Xing dragged his elbow and held his chin with the other hand, looking Han Qian up and down. After a long time, he nodded seriously. "Well, it's good. A hand-customized suit with more than 50,000 water ghosts still suits your current status. Overall it's very good, but I don't mind if you wear a suit to attend Lin Men's party. It's better to be more casual. You don't need to dress yourself up, and you don't need to say hello to people who don't know you. Han Qian, are you really willing to give away 20%? There's nothing to be reluctant about. I'll prepare a set of clothes later. Also, don't mess with Wan Fang. If she wants, I won't stop you. If she doesn't want to, don't force me. I don't have many friends in the city." Gao Xing shrugged after hearing this and smiled. Han Qian walked to the elevator to find Yan Qingqing. Gao Xing walked into the public relations department. He glanced at Wan Fang at the entrance and curled his lips. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 337. When she walked into Yan Qingqing's office, Cai Qinghu called and told Han Qian that she had arrived in the province. She would attend 2 meetings in the afternoon and tomorrow and would be back the day after tomorrow. Han Qian said "Oh," and this "oh" was bad. Cai Qinghu shouted into the mobile phone. "Can you please stop replying to me? You act like a scumbag who cheats money and sex. You're dead." What happened last night didn't seem to have any impact on Cai Qinghu. Han Qian's head was in a mess and he sat on the sofa covering his head. Yan Qingqing stood beside Han Qian, rubbing his head and chuckled. "Which girl gave you a headache again?" Han Qian closed his eyes and said helplessly. "Everything gives me a headache. I have a splitting headache. I want to ask you something. The invitations to Lin Men's birthday party have been sent out? Have you received them?" Yan Qingqing raised her hand and slapped Han Qian on the forehead, saying in shock. "If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten about it. The invitation was indeed sent, and it's quite formal. Look." While speaking, Yan Qingqing had already taken out 2 invitations from the drawer, and Han Qian tilted his head and said in confusion. 2. Yan Qingqing walked to Han Qian's side, pulled up the man sitting on the sofa, and pressed him on her boss's chair. Then she stood behind the chair and rubbed Han Qian's head and whispered. Yes, 1 for you and 1 for me. Our company has received 5 in total, 1 from Gao Xing'ai, 2 from me and the 2 of us, and the ones from Yang Lan and Sul Yang. As for the directors, they shouldn't be. The simple invitation is probably Lin Men's phone number. If you don't want to go, you can't go. Besides, you keep this thing. It will definitely be lost if you leave it in my hands. When the time comes, I will contact you and we will go together. You can just go there with Sister Yang and the others as usual. Yan Qingqing was slightly dissatisfied when she didn't get a positive answer from Han Qian. She turned around and sat on tiptoe on the desk. She kicked off her slippers and placed them on Han Qian's legs, and said slightly dissatisfied. I thought you would go with me. Do you want to go with Nuan Nuan? Huh? Where did your watch come from? Han Qian dragged Yan Qingqing's feet with one hand and laughed softly. Nuan Nuan should go there with his father. There is an 80% chance that he won't go there with me. I asked you where the watch came from. I will most likely go there with Tu Xiao, Luo Shanda, and Cai Qinghu. Gao Jingchen will probably go with Li Dehai. I don't know about Aunt Jian. If Qianwan must go there, you can accompany Aunt Jian. I can't tell for sure here. Han Qian, are you changing the subject? Do you think I am warm? Qingqing, your feet are so small. I'm short too. Han Qian shut up, rubbed the chair under his butt forward, took the documents on the table and flipped through them. Yan Qingqing was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She wished she could throw herself into this man's arms and bite his throat. Ask him if he loves her. When Yan Qingqing was preparing to take action, Han Qian took a sip from the water glass on the table and whispered. What's going on with the introduction of hot springs into the water park? I went to see Lu Guangming's resort. The consumption there is very high and it's not open to all citizens. Will the water park capture the tourists who are passing through the resort? Will it make a loss? Yan Qingqing nodded vigorously. Yes. If the price is not up to standard, laying 10 kilometers of pipelines will definitely result in losses. I have already begun to prepare to boil water myself. I have given up hot springs and become my main business. I am planning to develop accommodation, catering, hot springs, and water park projects. I have been very busy recently. Annoying, compared to the warmth of the hospital, my little fuss is like someone taking the college entrance examination, and I am calculating 1 + 1 = how many, and I feel very uncomfortable. Han Qian raised his head and looked at Yan Qingqing, who looked like a little girl for the first time. Thinking of the pressure of 100 million on her, Han Qian took a deep breath. He almost lost his life with 4 million on his back. This little girl Yan Qingqing has been under pressure for so many years. How did you resist? It's not her fault that she has a bad temper. If she doesn't be stronger and more violent, suitors will line up. She doesn't have so much mind to deal with these suitors, and she is also afraid that one day she won't be able to hold on. Sometimes when a person gives up, it is not necessarily his own collapse, but the comfort from those around him. Han Qian closed his eyes and shook his head with a smile. It's still my fault for the hospital. It was Cai Qinghu and I who leaked some future actions at the Yamen door when I was on the phone. She overheard and took advantage of it. This hospital can really make Nuan Nuan famous in the city, even if it's in his hands. Even if you don't have many shares, you can still compete with Lin Zongheng, but don't worry, start the business slowly, and make sure you don't lose money now. Honor Home will make the company a lot of money, and the final valuation will be over 10 million. Yan Qingqing raised her head and looked aggrieved. It was too difficult for her to cry. This expression already expressed her mood. She refused to admit defeat. You can lose to anyone, but you can't lose to Wen Nuan. Han Qian smiled when he saw this. This is me. No, I think about it myself. You have prepared a family for me, and I will work hard on the rest. I don't believe that Nuan's head is better than mine. Even if I am not smart, she is about the same as me. It's annoying, annoying, annoying to death. Come on, you really don't want to go to the birthday party with me? I'll go out and buy you a suit at noon. I don't really like you wearing a suit. Han Qian tilted his head and smiled doubtfully. Why? Gao Jixing said the same. Yan Qingqing blushed and stepped on Han Qian's palm with her little feet, saying seriously. It's so handsome, I like it so much. Yan Qingqing's expressions of love were never shy, very direct, and very hot. Fortunately, Han Qian was used to it. He lowered his head and looked at the blue suit on his body and murmured softly. Are you handsome? I didn't see it, by the way. I'm going to Changxiang there in the afternoon. Nuan and Yu Shisai are having a rest at home. Sister Yang is alone there. I'm worried that she will be too busy and run into trouble. It's hard to say. Hey. Go, go, I have no charm anymore and I can't keep you. Have lunch before leaving. Order a meal. What bad thoughts can girls have? They just want to have lunch together. When Han Qian left Yan Qingqing's office in the afternoon, he came out holding onto the wall. Little Yang Jia looked at Han Qian with a distressed look and sighed. Brother Qian, you are just like the rooster in our hometown that was thrown into the hen pile all night. The comb is hanging down. I see why you are still struggling to walk. The little advertisement I copied last time still. Han Qian covered his stomach with one hand and supported the wall with the other. He gritted his teeth and glared at little Yang Jia and said in a low voice. I feed you spoonful by spoonful. Even if you eat more than 40 spoonfuls, you will feel uncomfortable. I finally know why Xiao Baibei hit me last time, Xiao Baibei is having a parent-teacher meeting today. Han Qian didn't dare to wait for it to slowly digest. Yu Shisai and Wen Nuan didn't go to work today, Xiao Baibei held a parent-teacher meeting, and Yang Lan was enjoying it alone. When Han Qian rushed into the toilet, he dialed Yang Ian's phone number. It took a long time for the call to be answered. Xiao Qian. Sister Yang, vomit, vomit, wait, vomit. While vomiting, Han Qian felt like killing Yan Qingqing. Do you feed the pigs? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Huan. Chapter 339. As expected, Yang Lan didn't go to Xiao Baibei's parent-teacher meeting. She really couldn't leave. Today the team is going to measure the land and check the hardness of the land. Then they will send the design to the Urban Development Bureau and the Land Bureau to see if construction is allowed. Everyone is busy, and Yang Lan is even more busy. There are still many procedures to go through for the land, all of which she needs to worry about. Yang Lan said that there was nothing to attend the children's parent-teacher meeting, and that she could just go home and ask the teacher in the evening. Finally, she asked Han Qian if he had time. He went over to take a look at the scene. She and Sul Yang could not leave. As long as they were not there, Yang Lan said that there was nothing to attend. Li Dongshen would cause trouble, Han Qian replied with a good word, walked out of the bathroom and walked directly into the finance department, grabbed a bottle of mineral water and drank it while running downstairs. Find high fulfillment and push the door. Vice President Gao, select a few of your confidants to report to the urban construction team. We need to plan the land today. It's urgent. I have something else to do. Gao Xing, who was feeding the fish, frowned and said solemnly. There is a problem. Han Qian stood at the door and nodded. The poetry that I enjoyed today is on vacation. The grandson Li Dongsheng seems to be acting like a fool again. You pick a few people to go over. I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Remember. Don't send rubbish there. Gao Jishi will not reject any of Han Qian's proposals now, and everyone attaches great importance to the Dongcheng land matter. No one will use sky-high investment to waste it for their own selfish desires. If the company loses money, both he and Yan Qingqing will lose money. In trouble. It's Li Dongsheng again. But now Han Qian is angry not with Li Dongsheng, but with Yu Shisai. Don't you know what responsibilities you have on your shoulders? The Maserati roared on the road, and Xiao Baibei held a parent-teacher meeting at 1 o'clock. It was already 1:30. The Maserati crossed the road like a silver sword and stopped at the entrance of the kindergarten. Han Qian got out of the car and went to the doorman all the way, and said hurriedly, "Hello, I am Xiao Baibei's uncle." "What's Xiao Baibei's name?" "I don't know if Han Qian is riding a horse." The security guard at the door looked at Han Qian with a cold face and said coldly, "There is no one named Xiao Baibei here." Han Qian was too lazy to explain to him, so he took out his mobile phone and called Yang Jia. Xiao Yang Jia didn't answer. He was probably called away by Yan Qingqing. In desperation, Han Qian called Yang Lan and asked Xiao Baibei's name. "Yang Baibei?" Then there was the argument between Han Qian and the security guard at the door. Han Qian was so angry that his face turned green and he pointed at the car and said angrily, "I'm a human trafficker and I drive this thing? Please take a good look at where this license plate is registered." "Sorry, we can't check other people's license plates." "Go, bring Yang Baibei over here. I'm here to hold a parent-teacher conference for Yang Baibei. I'm his uncle." "Your last name?" "My surname is Han." Yang Baibei took her mother's surname, and her mother's surname was Yang. "Cousin. Make it up, keep making it up." Han Qian was so angry that he held the electronic door with both hands and was about to climb inside. Han Qian was very anxious. He knew very well what children would compare with each other, and he also understood the fragile heart of a child without a father. His little boy brothers of 10 years have been without a father since childhood. Seeing that this guy was about to climb in, the security guard had already pulled out the rubber stick from his waist and was ready to take action. "Yang Baibei! Yang Baibei!" Han Qian was riding on the electronic door, holding the other end of the rubber stick with one hand to compete with the security guard, while shouting at the kindergarten. When Han Qian shouted Xiao Baibei's name for the 5th time, he saw the Xiao Baibei, wearing a pink cotton-padded jacket, ran toward him while crying. The little girl raised her head and cried while shouting, "Uncle, uncle, Mom doesn't want to be North anymore." Listening to Xiao Baibei's sweet words, Han Qian suddenly felt heartbroken. He kicked the security guard away, jumped down from the electric door, pointed at the security guard who was about to take action and roared angrily, "If you dare to touch me, I will close your kindergarten tomorrow. I am Han Qian. I don't care if you are Han Qian or Ri Qian, no one can harm the children in the garden." This security guard was also very dedicated. He landed a stick on Han Qian's back. The severe pain caused Han Qian to tense up his back. At this time, Xiao Baibei had already ran over, threw himself into Han Qian's arms, and grabbed him with both hands. Holding Han Qian's collar, he looked up and cried. At this time, the teachers also came out. When they saw Han Qian, they were also confused. They also saw that the security guard was about to take action again, and they quickly stopped him. Han Qian unbuttoned his suit and put it on Xiao Baibei's body. He grabbed the sleeves of the expensive suit and wiped his nose. The teachers' eyes twitched when they saw it. This outfit was almost worth their junior year's salary. Xiao Baibei's teacher stepped forward and asked softly, "Hello sir, who are you?" Han Qian picked up Xiao Baibei, glanced at the young female teacher coldly from the corner of his eye, and then continued to comfort Xiao Baibei. It wasn't until Xiao Baibei stopped crying that Han Qian spoke coldly. I am the child's uncle. You can call Baibei's mother. My name is Han Qian. At this moment, someone broke into the campus and the principal ran over. She was a middle-aged woman about the same age as Li Jinhe. When the principal came over, she didn't hear the first words, but only heard the last sentence, my name is Han Qian. The principal has heard of Han Qian's name. When he went to the Yamanman for a meeting, he heard the name Han Qian mentioned many times. The principal stepped forward and blocked the teacher behind him, and said softly, Mr. Han, are you classmate Yang Baibei's uncle? For the sake of the child's safety, please allow us to ask the child's mother for confirmation. Whatever. After I verify it, I will ask you why my baby Baibei ran out crying. If you can't give me a reasonable explanation, I will let Cheng Jin talk to you about it. After saying that, Han Qian walked to the school classroom with Xiao Baibei in his arms. The teacher followed and pointed the way. Not long after, the principal came over. Han Qian was really the uncle of Yang Baibei. Han Qian appeared with Xiao Baibei in his arms. In the principal's office, the teacher came over to take Xiao Baibei. Han Qian frowned and nodded under the principal's pleading eyes. When Xiao Baibei was held by the teacher and walked out of the office, he kept looking at Han Qian and walked to the door. Suddenly spoke. Uncle doesn't want Baibei anymore. This sentence broke Han Qian's heart. He made a face at Xiao Baibei and said dotingly. My uncle will take you to have a family meal later, okay? Xiao Baibei left the principal's office. When Han Qian turned his head, his eyes became cold. He frowned at the principal and said coldly. What I said will make you feel that I am rude and domineering. You can go anywhere to sue me or call the police. Now I want to know why Yang Baibei is crying. Could it be that my precious niece cries every day when she is in school? Is the district kindergarten very confident? The principal said quickly. Mr. Han, you misunderstood. The district kindergarten is an institution closely watched by the city. The gardeners here will never dare to abuse children privately. The reason why little child Yang Baibei cried today should be because Ms. Yang never showed up at the parent-teacher meeting, which made the child scared. Han Qian sneered. My precious niece won't even think about not seeing my sister for a day or two. She is also a little baby who dares to slap me at a dinner party. She will cry when my sister doesn't come. Are you, his mother, fooling a fool? All of Han Qian's reactions are reasonable. Today he came as an uncle. If he came as a father, it would not be as simple as sitting here talking to you. Whose child is not a baby? After being sent to your school, he cried so much that he convulsed. At this time, the principal's heart was broken. Not to mention beating you, your precious niece is sitting on your neck and you are doting on her. Can this be the same as outside? The principal took a deep breath and said softly. Mr. Han, we will investigate this matter. Han Qian took out his mobile phone and threw it on the table, saying coldly. Whether you call Tu Xiao in District 8 or Chengjin, you choose. Otherwise, tell me why my niece is crying. The principal collapsed, closing his eyes and taking a deep breath. Mr. Han, can we go out and ask the teacher and kid Yang Baibei? Not good. Han Qian was surprisingly hard to talk today, and he also guessed why Xiao Baibei was crying. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 340. Han Qian refused to go out, so the principal could only call Xiao Baibei's teacher to the office. The result was exactly as Han Qian guessed. Some people said that Xiao Baibei had no father, and Yang Lan never came to school. Some said that she had no mother. All the children are nestled in the arms of their parents. She is the only one who is lonely. The child's heart is fragile and she will definitely cry. Han Qian closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Your school educates children. You know what is going on in Yang Baibei's family. Why don't you tell the child a lie? Why don't you tell someone to come and pick the child up? For such a grown-up person, you still work in education. Don't you understand? To protect a child's heart? I'll pay you more than 2,000 yuan a month so that my baby bump comes here and gets bullied. The principal and teachers were speechless and did not dare to refute. They did not expect that Yang Baibei would have such an uncle. They used to think that Yang Lan was weak, and the district kindergarten did not just sign up to get in. In the final analysis, it is still a sentence: bully Yang Lan for not having a husband, bully Xiao Baibei for not having a father. When Han Qian took out the cigarette, neither the principal nor the teacher stopped him. Just when Han Qian was about to light the cigarette, a scream from Xiao Baibei came from outside the door. Han Qian's anger instantly rushed to the top of his head. He stood up and opened the door. It took less than 3 seconds to walk out of the principal's office. When she went out, she saw Xiao Baibei sitting on the ground wearing a suit. In front of her stood several young men, all of whom were dressed in expensive clothes. One of them was in his 60s or 70s. The little boy, who was about 6 years old, looked at Xiao Baibei arrogantly. There were several adults standing behind the children, chatting together, with smiles on their faces, as if they didn't notice what their children were doing. Han Qian knelt down and helped Xiao Baibei up, and said softly, "It's okay, Uncle is here." "Who bullied you? Tell Uncle." This time Xiao Baibei didn't cry. He rubbed his eyes and pointed at the 6 or 7-year-old boy dressed in hip-hop. Han Qian nodded, kissed Xiao Baibei on the forehead, and then handed Xiao Baibei to his follower. The principal came out and said coldly, "No need to cover Baibei's eyes and let her watch." When Han Qian said this, the parent of the hip-hop boy also came over, a young woman in her 30s. Behind her stood a man in a suit and leather shoes. Both husband and wife wore glasses, looked polite, and were both at work. "Should be good." Han Qian pointed at the boy and said softly, "Did you push Yang Baibei?" The little boy nodded proudly with his head held high. "That's me. Her father is a prisoner. She is the child of a prisoner. She deserves it." Han Qian nodded, raised his head and looked at the woman standing next to the child, and chuckled. "Your son." The young woman also knew that her child had said something wrong, so she stretched out her hand to hold the child in her arms, and whispered to Han Qian, "The child is young and ignorant." Han Qian nodded again, looking at the boy sticking out his tongue at him. Han Qian smiled. "My mother said I'm young, and I'm not a director either." As soon as he finished speaking, Han Qian suddenly took action and slapped the face of the irritating boy sticking out his tongue. The corridor became quiet for an instant. Han Qian glanced at the children and parents in the corridor and said coldly, "You can go out and try. You can also call the police now. Who else has bullied Yang Baibei?" While talking, she hit the child on her back before she remembered to cry. She covered her face and sat on the ground crying. When the young woman saw her child being beaten, she rushed towards Han Qian with teeth and claws. Han Qian waved his hand and slapped her in the face. The woman was stunned. Han Qian ignored her and raised his hand to the frowning man standing in the distance. "You come. None of you can leave today. I want to know who said that the child's father is a criminal. If you don't say it, the child will not know. Every word and deed of the parents affects the child." "Oh. That's not right. Some children are born with bad guy. How can a person be so good-natured in the first place?" "Why? My wife and children have been beaten, but I still can't come back." The man with the eyes pushed up the frame and frowned. Han Qian. "Hey, you know me? That would be easier. Lie down by yourself, or should I let you lie down? Don't tell me how to save face in front of the children. You can comfort my baby Baibei's hurt in her heart." Today's the matter is over. If I can't appease you, this matter is not over yet. As soon as he finished speaking, Han Qian discovered that many parents here had heard of his name, so this matter would be easier to handle. The child's father didn't make any move. He looked down at his crying son on the ground and frowned. I have a good relationship with Glory's Gaolu. Han Qian curled his lips. Not enough. Do you believe I can let him come over and whip you now? The child's father closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and said again. I used to work as a clerk under Sister Jin He. Han Qian frowned and nodded, then took out his cell phone and called his mother-in-law. After the call was connected, Han Qian looked at the child's father. Name. 11 Lei. Mom, did you have a guy named 11 Lei under you before? This guy offended me, and I slapped his son and his wife in the face. Well, I have a junior, a smart little girl, who is so warm when she sees Nuan Nuan. You can't beat me if you call me aunt. Prison clerk? Oh, can you let me, Guan Yun Biao, come over? No. Xiao Qian, please be honest with me. What mistake did his son make? Let him beat his son until you are satisfied. If you have time, bring this little girl over so that I can be proud of you. Hurry up and have a baby with Wen Nuan. I very impatient. Nu. Li Jinhe's voice was very loud, and Han Qian pursed his lips at 11 Lei after hanging up the phone. Let's start. After saying that, he turned around and pulled Xiao Baibei to stand next to him and whispered. Watch. If anyone dares to bully you in the future, just come and tell your uncle. Remember. You don't have a father. You only have your mother, aunt, and uncle. It doesn't make any difference whether your father has those things or not. Whatever you want, your uncle will give it to you. 11 Lei pushed his son to the ground and slapped him on the buttocks. While spanking his son, the nearly 40-year-old man shed tears. Han Qian looked upset and said coldly. Stop pretending to me here. The child is no longer young and is no longer suitable for kindergarten. Send him wherever he should. Are there any others? Do you want me to have a talk with your leader? My name is Han Qian. Han from South Korea, humble Qian, is now working as a white-collar worker in the General Department of Honor Group. If you want revenge, you can come to me at any time, but let me know if you dare to take action against my baby Baibei. Han Qian raised his hand, made a gun motion with his hand, and pointed it at 11 Lei's head. Han Qian smiled. Boom. After saying that, he picked up Baibei, stared at the little girl's forehead, and spoke lovingly. Let's go, take you to eat in a family bucket, and then tell your uncle all the people who bullied you. I'll deal with them when you're full. After saying that, he turned around and looked at the director, smiling. I have never been a good person, so I can't teach any good children. I only know how to prevent my children from being bullied outside. Don't talk to me about big things. I think this is not the first time that something like this happened today. It happened, you should be lucky that you met me and not that guy Feng Lun. Han Qian left, carried Xiao Baibei downstairs, went out and got in the car, put on Baibei's seat belt and sped away. In the kindergarten teaching building, 11 Lei cried while holding the child, pointing to how much smaller he was. The year-old wife roared angrily. If you dare to gossip in front of your son from now on, I will, go away and go through the transfer procedures. Incompetent roar? But he didn't dare to resist at all. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 341. Being reasonable is not suitable for Han Qian's character, and such things as respecting the old and loving the young do not exist in his mind. It is okay for children to play around, and there were many fights when he was a child. Pushing is also okay. After all, he is young and can't do anything. It can be light or not serious, but there are some things that children should not know. If adults don't tell them, how will children know? If parents don't educate them well, then let others educate them. I wonder if the slap will give the child a memory. Han Qian doesn't expect this child to be sensible. If he is sensible, how will he be beaten in the future? There is no distinction between right and wrong between men and women, and there is no distinction between age. Complain wherever you fall in love. He drove Xiao Baibei to the barber shop and gave the little girl a haircut. Yang Lan was really busy. Han Qian chose a small mushroom head for Xiao Baibei. The little girl had no idea about hairstyles. When cutting her hair, he is also very obedient, staring at his uncle closely with his big eyes, as if he is afraid that his uncle will run away. During this period, Yang Lan called and asked about Xiao Baibei's situation. Han Qian told Yang Lan that he would take Xiao Baibei for a haircut and prepare to buy some clothes later. Yang Lan declined softly, and Han Qian simply said so directly. Hang up the phone. Yang Lan, who was working in Chang's Yang Group, lay helplessly on the table. She also wanted to be a qualified mother, but when she picked up her child, she had to put down her work. Yang Lan chose to give her child a better life. After cutting her hair and washing her face, Xiao Baibei turned into a cute little loli, a pretty little loli who is clingy and pampered by handsome men. Everyone thought they were a father and a daughter. Han Qian did not explain and handed his little finger to Xiao Baibei. Little loli grabbed Han Qian's little finger and left the barber shop. She carried Xiao Baibei around various children's stores, starting from scratch. After changing his body from foot to foot, Han Qian turned a little meat bun into a fairy with a fairy spirit. Han Qian doesn't know how to dress up, but he is willing to spend money. Sitting in KFC, Han Qian was wiping the jam from the corner of Xiao Baibei's mouth. Someone would always secretly observe the two of them, and the little girl would whisper that the little loli was so cute and wanted to hug her father, but Han Qian was too lazy to do so. I went to explain, and someone also came over to say hello to the cute little Baibei. Xiao Baibei always answered questions seriously. Many people asked where her mother was. Xiao Baibei proudly said that she didn't have a mother. Then some bold girls asked Xiao Baibei if Baisuk didn't mind having multiple mothers. When Baibei was about to recognize a bunch of mothers, Han Qian took the little girl away and knocked on the little girl's forehead while fastening her seat belt in the car. Be careful if your mother finds out and beats you up. Xiao Baibei held a large wave candy in his hand and shook his head. He didn't take Han Qian's words to heart at all. He drove Xiao Baibei to Changxiang. He carried Xiao Baibei to the group and found Yang Lan. Yang Lan looked at Xiao Baibei's new clothes, took the child and frowned. Why did you spend money on her again? You already have a lot to do. What does she know at such a young age? You are too spoiled to him. Han Qian grinned. I want you to take care of it. Yang Lan also smiled, put Xiao Baibei aside, walked behind Han Qian, and suddenly strangled Han Qian's neck from behind and knocked Han Qian down. To be precise, he had not yet fallen to the ground. Yang Lan was completely unexpected by Han Qian. Outside, Han Qian waved his arms and said repeatedly as he was about to sit on the ground. Sister, sister, I was wrong. You should take care of me. If I fall, I will fall. The members of the group all stood up and watched the excitement. Unexpectedly, the usually quiet team leader Yang also had a playful temperament. Of course, he could also make trouble with Han Qian, his younger brother. Yang Lan held Han Qian's neck and smiled. Do you think I'm too weak to take care of you? Others don't dare to take care of you, Han Qian, but I can't take care of you anymore. Okay, sister, please let me get up first. Yang Lan let go of Han Qian's neck, and Han Qian ran away, running behind Yao Shui's chair, panting and patting his chest. Sister Yang, I was not prepared at all for your sudden visit. It scared my little heart and made me jump wildly. Did I ask someone sent by Vice President Gao to come over? Yang Lan nodded, pulled Xiao Baibei to look at his daughter's haircut, and said softly. Here they are, a few young people with pretty good abilities from the company. Now they are going to the scene with Sul Yang. Are you going to send Baibei here this afternoon? At this moment, Han Qian was hammering Yao Shui's shoulders like a slave. After hearing Yang Ian's words, he raised his head and smiled. I'll give you a break by the way. Go home and spend time with Baibei in the afternoon. I'll be fine here. Yang Lan looked at Han Qian in astonishment, then pointed at the copywriting in front of his desk and was about to speak. Han Qian waved his hand and said again. Okay, Sister Yang, if you don't want to go home, I'll take Baibei here with you. Aren't you going to attend the party in a few days? Go shopping. Jing seems to have nothing to do today. Just leave Baibei here with me and ask little Yang Jia to pick him up in the evening. While talking, Han Qian had already walked up to Yang Lan, grabbed her shoulders and forced Yang Lan out of the office. After closing the door, he walked into Yang Ian's independent office with Xiao Baibei in his arms. As long as his buddies couldn't see him, if you kill people outside, I will treat it as if it never happened. Yang Lan pinched her waist and looked at the closed door. After a long time, she sighed feebly, dialed Yan Qingqing's phone and said softly. Mr. Yan, Han Qian gave me a day off. Oh. Yan Qingqing just said oh, she seemed to be busy. Yang Lan tilted her head and looked at the phone, sighed feebly and turned to leave. It was indeed a long time since she went shopping. Yang Lan felt at ease and relaxed for the first time. What a blessing it is to have Han Qian as a younger brother. Yang Lan is good to Han Qian, and Han Qian also loves Baibei sincerely. When it was time to get off work, Sul Yang came back with his exhausted body. Miss Ye Lai pointed to the door of the office. Sul Yang tilted his head in confusion, opened the door and shouted with his eyes closed. Sister Yang, why are you here? Sister Yang was not there, and it was Xiao Baibei who was sitting on Sister Yang's chair. Han Qian was sitting on the sofa and looking at the information. Sul Yang stepped forward and picked up the mineral water on the table and said softly. Everything is on track. I just had a brief exchange with the people at the Yamen Gate. They meant to build a medium-sized community with a price between 5,000 and 8,000. Except for a few buildings, no one is allowed to exceed 10,000. Han Qian put down the information, raised his head and smiled. You just have to figure it out. Sul Yang nodded, and when he sat next to Han Qian, he cast his eyes on Han Qian's wrist, raised his eyebrows and smiled. Well, the watch is good. Han Qian was stunned for a moment, then smiled, took off the watch from his wrist, threw it to Sul Yang, and said with a smile. Next time just tell me, you also received the invitation, what should I say? Go. Or not? Sul Yang was not polite, took the watch strap and smiled at Han Qian on his wrist. Go, why don't you go? I still have to work hard to buy a house, so I'll give it to you in a few days. No, you'd better keep it. It's a lot of trouble for me to bring this thing. Today, Mr. Yan almost beat me to death because of this watch. By the way, I have something to ask you. What is this bastard Li Dongsheng doing? Sul Yang took a photo on his wrist with his cell phone and said casually. It's nothing serious. This grandson seems to be in heat. He always harasses some staff in the group. He harassed Li once while I was away and almost made a move. Now this grandson is like a wildcat in spring. He is now. It seems that I am asking for the contact information of Chang Xiang's Yushasai. Han Qian frowned and smiled bitterly. What happened to him? Sul Yang curled his lips. I don't know. I'm off work, okay. I'm going to my wife's house for dinner today. Han Qian stood up and exclaimed. Meet the parents. So soon. I haven't seen you yet, but I'll see you today. I've kept this watch. How much is the car that Guan Yun Biao sent? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. You just keep it? There are some things that you take risks to achieve, but I am the only one who benefits. If you ask about the house, just say you bought it, and then I will give it to you. You figure it out. My wife said she could rent a house with me and left. Suliang left gracefully, and Han Qian could see the love for this piece of water ghost in his eyes. After Suliang left, Han Qian took out his mobile phone and called Cai King Hu. I gave the watch to Suliang. Oh. This time it was Cai King Hu's turn to say oh. Han Qian shouted into his mobile phone. You look like a scumbag who cheated money and sex. You fart, my sister didn't come to my aunt last night, are you lying to me? My sister is just testing to see if you believe me or not. Cai. Cheng. Who? You are sick. I'm sick, can you cure me? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 342. Cai King Hu's aunt arrived about a week earlier than Wen Nuan. He drank too much last night and didn't have so many things on his mind. Han Qian was also glad that Cai King Hu lied to him, otherwise he would definitely choose Cai King Hu to be with him, no matter what happened what. Han Qian was still scared when he went upstairs with the dishes in his hands. No drinking in the future, absolutely no drinking. In the past, Han Qian thought that having sex after drinking was fake, but now he realized that it was real. No wonder Wu Song dared to go to Jinjiangang to drink. This thing is really powerful. I have such a strong self-control ability that it has been confused. When he opened the door and saw the messy living room, Han Qian's face darkened instantly. He put it down before frowning and walking into the living room and shouted to the second floor. You have been lying at home all day and you don't know how to clean up the room. Nuan, let me tell you, this is the last time you will drink at home. After the words fell, the guest room door was opened, and Tong Yao revealed half of her body and frowned. It's not bad. Isn't it just that the table is not cleared? Han Qian turned his head and looked at the child monster, frowned and gritted his teeth. It's been a day and a night? Don't you know how to clear the wine table? You didn't go to work today. No class. The nursery rhyme's answer was simple and clear. She walked out of the room wearing warm black pajamas and started clearing the dishes at the table. I had never noticed before that the child monster's skin was transparent white, and almost all the blood vessels on its legs could be seen. For a moment, Han Qian forgot about the chaotic living room, pinched his chin and said softly. Tong Rong, you must be sick. Tong Yao, who had just picked up the bowl, turned around and frowned. You want to quarrel? Han Qian said quickly. No, I'm talking about your skin. Your white skin seems unhealthy. Tong Yao glanced down at her legs, turned around and continued to clear the dishes, explaining softly. It's hereditary. I can't get a tan. The examination showed that my skin's stratum corneum is relatively thin. Why are you looking at my legs? You don't have it yourself. There was really no way to communicate with this monster. Tong Yao, who walked into the kitchen with dishes and chopsticks, suddenly stopped and lowered his head and whispered. Han Qian, if one day I am particularly despicable and selfish and hurt you, will you hate me particularly? Han Qian, who was about to go upstairs to change clothes, was slightly startled. At this time, Nuan covered his head and walked downstairs, and said in a daze. Brother Qian, good morning. Good morning, uncle, please open your big eyes, it's so dark today. When Han Qian went to ask Tong Yao what he had just asked, Tong Yao pretended that nothing had happened. Inexplicably, he went upstairs to change into pajamas and went downstairs to prepare for cooking. When he went out, he saw Yushisai, who was also wearing warm pajamas. Her hair was messy, and her pajamas were a little sexy and see-through. Yushisai scratched his head and looked at Han Qian. Han Qian tilted his head and looked at Yushisai, with 2 points on his chest clearly visible. Yushisai looked down at Han Qian's gaze, turned around and ran back to the room in the next second, whispering angrily, "You are a gangster." Han Qian pouted and counterattacked. "I don't know which one of us is the gangster." The dinner was very sumptuous, but it was different from what Wen expected. The table was all filled with vegetables, and her favorite rice was replaced with millet porridge, a clear and watery soup, and plates of vegetables with environmentally friendly colors. Both nursery rhymes and Yu's poems are not picky about food. They have the same attitude towards vegetables and meat, but Wen can't stand it. She can't accept a table without meat. Wen picks up a piece of green rapeseed and turns to look at Han Qian. "Are you reminding me that you turned me green?" This sentence almost made Han Qian's heart beat out. Did Wen Nuan know something? Is this idiot Cai Qinghu provoking warmth? It shouldn't be. She was busy in the province, and Yushisai was also nervous. She picked up the bowl and took the rapeseed on the warm chopsticks, laughing softly. "You have to ask him if he had sex with you before the divorce. I suspect it's possible." Nuan curled his lips, picked up a piece of mushroom, put it in his mouth, and said vaguely, "He? Love me? It's impossible in this life. If I know that he is not a virgin, he will die worse than the villain we watched on TV last night. As for before getting married, he didn't know anyone except me. 2 young and beautiful girls, no chance." The words fell into Han Qian's bowl. He grabbed a piece of meat for cooking and frowned. "Didn't I tell you what I wanted to eat during the day? Are you against me?" Han Qian put down his chopsticks, frowned at Wen Nuan, and said in a deep voice, "Did you know that I will be very busy today? The Liancheng team is also very busy with tasks. You and Yushisai said you wouldn't go to work." Nuan Wen's face instantly became embarrassed, and he lowered his head to eat without speaking. However, Han Qian didn't want to eat, so he put down his bowl and looked at Nuan and accused him. "I was watching at Changxiang this afternoon. The team has already started measuring the land, negotiating with the Yamanmen about the architectural style and housing prices, and testing the hardness of the land. The Yamanmen set the price at more than 5,000 and less than 8,000. The real estate owners in the 2 communities can only sell it for more than 9,000, why don't you 2 ask about this price?" Yushisai put down the bowl and chopsticks, humbly admitting his mistake, and Nuan murmured unconvincedly, "Glory Yang Lan is not watching in the group." Han Qian frowned and said again, "I'm not angry if you don't mention this matter. Today is the day for Yang Ian's daughter's parent-teacher meeting. Yang Lan has no husband, and Xiao Baibei has no father. She can't leave at the company. Do you know that Xiao Baibei is at school? What's it like to watch other children playing with their parents? The children didn't even go to the parent-teacher conference and stayed in the company to take care of work. You 2 were drunk and slept until now. I also cooked millet porridge for you, and Teacher Tong cooked light dishes for you. I'm afraid your stomach won't be able to bear it. What? You 2 have some merit? Can you die if you drink 1 day late? Can you go crazy? If you drink on the weekend, you'll humming die." Angry. Nuan knew that Han Qian was really angry when he said the dirty words. He didn't know whether he felt aggrieved or blamed himself, but tears still fell from his eyes. She cried. Han Qian's anger was extinguished in an instant. He stretched out his hand to hold the warmth in his arms, and said softly, "Don't do this next time. You don't have to go to the company, but you have to explain what you have to do to the staff, whether it's Assistant Yu or Teacher Tong. I know you are carrying on your shoulders things that are not suitable for your age. Burden, but you can't just leave everything to a single mother willfully. Today I went to school to hold a parent-teacher meeting for Xiao Baibai. The little girl was bullied and she had nowhere to go to cry. Her hair was invisible. Yang Lan doesn't have time to take her to get her hair cut. You can play and drink. Wait until the weekend and I will cook for you. Don't leave the responsibility on your shoulders to others. This kind of irresponsible thing is not what you should do. Do you know? Yu Shisai nodded obediently. Even if Han Qian was a stranger now, what he said was right and reasonable. Seeing Nuan hiding his head in Han Qian's arms, Yu Shisai was very envious. She also hoped to have someone at this time. Such a man comforts her and gives her a hug. On the other hand, Tong Yao looked at the dishes on the table with dull eyes. She was thinking about the word responsibility. What a teacher knows best is the meaning of responsibility. But now Tong Yao was confused. When Nuan got up and went upstairs, and then came down with her notebook. Han seeing this, Qian closed his eyes and said helplessly. Stop sharpening your skills in battle. By the way, Nuan, let me ask you something. Linmend is celebrating his 60th birthday. Has he given you an invitation? Hearing this, Nuan handed the computer to Yu Shisai, ran to the coffee table, took out 2 invitations from the drawer, and shook them at Han Qian. Here you go, one for you and one for me. Han Qian frowned. Is Linmend confused? There is one in Yan Qingqing's place that belongs to Han Qian, and there is another one in Nuan's place? Why do you feel that this dinner is a bit like the Hungmen banquet?